Yeah, the expectations are very low. I mean, we're not expecting a whole lot coming out of WWDC this year, largely because Mark Gurman has done such a good job of telling us what is going to most likely come out of it. Not a whole lot of new AI features. Apparently, the one thing that is up there is to open the platform up for third-party developers to create new AI applications, which in the long run could help them immensely. But again, over the next few months, apparently there isn't much coming out as it relates to Apple doing more on AI. Whether they decide to beg, borrow, or steal from somebody else, we'll find out how that partnerships are scaling up.
So what's going to be the flashpoint then for WWDC? Like, what's going to be the highlight if we're not going to hear that much about AI?
I think, again, this is not rumored. We don't know what it is. But, last year they came out and said they're going to do a partnership with OpenAI. So when you're asking, the ecosystem a question about something and, you can go outside and have OpenAI's help or ChatGPT's help to get that answer. So that's good. But at the same time, they had left space open for other large language models, not just ChatGPT so is it possible that they can do a tie-up with Google Gemini? We don't know. I mean, I think in the long run it should happen, but I do not know if this is the right time or they have to wait till the judge's, decision sometime in August. But I think down the road, Gemini could be a very good feature. We just saw Google's I/O event, and Gemini has really come up quite a bit in the last 2 to 3 years. I think all the tech companies were caught unaware when ChatGPT came out, and all of them are running to basically catch up and try to showcase their own features. So that could be one surprise. But again, we have not heard any rumor that that's going to happen.
Red headline crossing the Bloomberg terminal right now. Barclays cuts more than 200 investment bank jobs to pare costs. And we'll have further reporting on that coming up. So, Anurag, you mentioned kind of the various legal issues facing the company here. I'm looking at the stock. It's down 18% year to date, underperforming the market pretty dramatically. Is there just a cap on this stock until we get some clarity on some of the, I guess, liability Apple may face?
Yeah, I think, you could say that it's trading at 28 times earnings, where you don't have anything, really positive coming out right now. You have the big overhang of the fee that they get from Google. Then there is this pressure on the App Store because of all the changes that's happening. The China story is not looking good in terms of the local demand in China. The President Trump is not giving them a break when it comes to building phones. So to be honest, there's nothing really going well for them. And yet the stock's still at 28, 29 times earnings.
Right.
And I think that's just tells you how people, really understand the long-term value of the ecosystem and the company. But there isn't much really to be happy about in terms of, the growth prospects or the profit prospects of it.
Do you think that 28 times earnings is a solid way to value the company?
I think it's a very tough way to look at it because, I can take the argument on one side that it still has a really long way to go in terms of gaining market share for the rest of the world when it comes to emerging markets, when it even comes to the US, because young people are still really into the Apple ecosystem, and down the road that market share should go up. But on the other hand, the big overhang for at least in this case is the roughly 20 odd billion they get from Google for the default search. If that goes away, that's a lot of that falls into the bottom line. So the 110 billion or so you have in free cash flow, maybe that cuts down by like 15% or so. So that's a very big number, frankly, in our view. Once that overhang goes through, then I could, make some more positive or constructive, views on what could happen to Apple over the 3-year period or so.